Thank you so much for that precise introduction and a lovely one. Today has been a power-packed day with back-to-back discussions on achieving the high mark valuations, investments, and I think why not? I can confidently, after speaking with many, many founders, I can confidently say that raising capital is the most strenuous, most taxing, demanding job an entrepreneur does. I don't know about these gentlemen just because these are the guys doing wonders without the external fundraise. So welcome Sumit and Jimit. These are the gentlemen who are running their ventures without external fundraise. Now, today we are here to discuss and dive in deeper into the discussion and decode what are the strategies to scale a bootstrap startup and how to successfully sustain a $0 billion startup. Let's see what they have to say about it. I open the forum starting with Jimit. Please let us know what is your venture, what do you do, how does it stand apart? Yeah, what's special going on at your end?
Hello. Thank you, Resham. So myself, Jimit Bagadiya. I am from Ahmedabad, Gujarat. I run a startup called SocialPilot. It's basically a social media marketing tool. Our tool is used by marketing agency to manage their end customer social media profile, whether it's a Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok. They can manage their profile on SocialPilot. They write the content, they upload the images, videos, whatever they want to do on native platform, rather they're doing over there, they do on our platform. And we keep taking care of sharing those posts on a regular time, on a scheduled time. So that is what we are doing. We are targeting marketing agency mainly in the US.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Sumit Ranka. I'm the founder and CEO of ThinkPot and PALO. So these are two companies that we started. ThinkPot was founded in 2014. It's a motivational merchandise company where we sell motivational merchandise, basically all the designer merchandise with motivational quotes or something that brings a positive message out. So that's what we do at ThinkPot. And at PALO, PALO is a brand that we founded in 2017. It's a health and wellness brand which sells ergonomic products that basically help you correct your posture or increase productivity at work, and that's about
That's good. So ThinkPod and PALO are B2B, B2Cs.
So ThinkPot was a B2C when it was founded, but it pivoted and became more of a B2B brand than a B2C, and PALO was always a B2B brand.
That's great. So you are selling products, making people happy around.
Yes.
And when it comes to SocialPilot, so SocialPilot, if we can see, you are making enterprises work easier and accelerate their social media presence and make their work easier, right?
Yeah, we help them to improve their productivity.
That's good. That's good. So as soon as I hear the word, yeah, exactly. So both on the extremes, right? As soon as I got to know about bootstrapped, or anytime I hear the word bootstrap, the first and foremost parameter or factor I got in my mind is keeping the sole ownership, right? And not sharing the equity, not sharing the authority. People have this bias in minds. I agree with you that it's a conscious choice, right? It's out of choice. It's not by nature. Running a bootstrap startup is really a taxing job, a strenuous one. And whereas we talk about the funded ventures, it gives you a cushion, yeah? It gives you back to have flexibility, to experiment, to have that social presence and media visibility, if I can say that way. Right now I am thinking of Noise and Zerodha. These are the big names, yeah, in the market who stand still bootstrapped, right? So why is it a conscious choice for you, Sumit? And what's the story behind? I would love to hear that.
So I believe when you go for a fundraise or when you share your equity, it's when you really think that you need the money to scale the product. For me, when we were building the brand, the products were giving us profits enough to sustain our growth. We were able to grow, and let's say if we are short of money, or we are, let's say, depleted of ideas and the new ideas or pivot that we want to take, and that requires a lot of more money, that's when you'll go give your equity out. Now it's the same thing, that why would I give my equity to someone if I don't need the capital or I don't know what to do with the capital, because whoever's buying the equity is buying with the intention to grow his capital. He just doesn't want to be part of my business. He wants his money to grow further. So unless I have something to offer to him, I would not. So that was one reason why we never sold equity in any of the two businesses, because yet we think there's a lot more that we can do by ourselves. And once we share an equity with someone or once we get someone on board, that person's a partner. So whatever we want to try or think things do differently, it's not that easy to do, because then you have one direction and you have to keep working there. Whereas when everything is owned by us, we can make quick decisions, we can turn around things faster. And definitely when we want to scale, yes, it does help, but depends. If your product's giving you profit enough, it's not required to go.
You chose to do it on your own and experiment and do into different horizons. Yeah?
As of now, it's working well, so we want to stick to that.
Good for you.
Yeah.
For VCs and investors, any startup, any venture, XYZ, can be 2 out of 100, can be 1 out of 1,000. But for an entrepreneur, it's a dream. He or she is putting in sweat and blood and the days and nights. Yeah. So why is it a conscious choice, Jimit?
So for us, I see bootstrap versus VC as a choice. It's not a versus or enemy kind of things, right? So in our startup, it's a tech startup, and where case flow is very easy to maintain. A runway you can easily plan with little amount of money. So that's the reason we focus on the being a bootstrap. VC, the nature of the business is one of the area where whether you want to go bootstrap or VC funded startup. If you are targeting B2C segment or maybe enterprise tools, enterprise customer, where the sales cycle is very large, then I think it requires the VC funds. In our case, purely tech startup, targeting US global customers, being from Ahmedabad company to maintain the runway and the cash flow very easy for us. So I think that's the reason we choose being a bootstrap.
So good to know. And before us, Dr. Saab was speaking about how the ecosystem is penetrating into the deeper parts of our nation, and the people are coming out of beyond tier 1. So we are now tier 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and beyond that maybe. We don't know. Now, these are the, if I can say it that way, these are the traditional philosophy we get to know from many, many founders. But I would like to deep into whys and hows and what are the basic complexities specifically you face into running your businesses, right? Because when you are dealing with a supporter, a funder, so it's a different story altogether. Just because his demands and his ideas, his aspirations is different from yours, yeah? So I would want to know what are the complexities and challenges you are facing being a bootstrapped venture. If you want to take it up, Sumit.
So, hello. See, from challenge perspective, I guess the challenges are same that either of us have. Like, either it's a funded startup or it's a bootstrap startup. The challenge is we need to get profitable. So both of us face the same challenge. The only part where we get a little advantage is that our goal from the very first day has been to be profitable, because as you said, we are a $0 bootstrap startup. Though the amount that is being invested is $0 in terms of currency, but the time that we invest is much higher because we don't know when the money is going to come. We don't get a salary on day one. Probably sometimes bootstrap startups, like for example, ThinkPot, when I started, it took me 2 years to break even. Like you can say take home a salary. I'm not making a loss, but I'm not taking home a salary per month to run. So for the first 2 years, you are struggling. So that's the challenge that a bootstrap company has. Whereas if I was a funded company, the salary for the founder also would have been there, something from day one, and profitability would be a long-term goal and not a short-term goal. Whereas a bootstrap company, if does not make a profit in the short term, it will not last only. Because there's a fixed amount of capital till where you can bleed or deplete. So that is one biggest challenge, that we have a time constraint where we have to do a lot of things by ourselves. We have to step into marketing, sales, engineering, development, everything. We cannot take a longer duration spread across all of them. And we cannot hire too many resources to do these things on day one.
Hello. You need to think about every penny you are putting in, whys and hows of it, the deeper nuances. So metrics of running a bootstrap company is, not slightly, drastically different, just because...
You have to be master of all and jack of none.
Yes.
It's the vice versa.
When it comes to the money metrics, as an entrepreneur running a bootstrap company, you are putting in 1 today and waiting for 12, and between that there is a 2 years or 3 years. You can't expect it to happen right away. That's the biggest challenge I can observe right now.
Very big challenge.
Do you have a different point of view, Jimit?
So being a bootstrap company, the challenges that if you ask, I think maintaining the runway is by nature, by focusing on the maintaining the runway, maintaining the case flow. If you need to spend even 1,000 rupees, we take a two opinion from at least from the within the team or from the co-founder, and then make a decision. So spending money on a very with deep insight is make us very conservative in terms of spending the money. That becomes an advantage too. Now, to save, let's say 100,000 rupees, you are spending, being a founder, you are in the game. You are putting your skin in the game. You are not just in VC funded, or if you are raising for the money, then one of the founder is a full-time job to just preparing the deck, pitching the people. But here, both the founder or maybe whatever the founder are there, they focusing on the growth and the product growth, marketing, engineering, try to solve the customer problem effectively. That's the primary goal. So that can give us as a being a bootstrap company, that becomes an advantage for us. That okay, we focus on the problem, and trying to solve the problem is ideally all about startup is all about, right? In challenges, normally in initial days, bootstrap has a challenges because as you mentioned, visibility part, like. Getting the right talent requires visibility all around the world, all around the India, maybe if you're hiring from the India people, right? So, and to get a leadership team, establishing leadership team, hiring the senior people, those are the initial challenges normally we faced in SocialPilot. Now, once you cross some milestone, let's say 1 million, then it becomes easy for you to spend the money. You do not spend more on time on thinking whether what is happening with the money, right? You can easily hire the people, and then you directly start competing with the VCs. So, yeah, the disadvantage initially stage is attracting the talent, retaining the talent, maintaining the case flow, competing with the VC are biggest challenge in initial stage. But later on, it becomes smooth.
So when we speak of a funded venture, we can think of that they are looking at a bigger picture, at a macro level. But when an entrepreneur is running a bootstrapped company, self-funded company, they are into the details. Yeah, they're into the nuances and the different phenomena. I can say that I'm not disagreeing that VCs do not pay attention to details. But my only point of saying this is. The primary focus is on the macro level, how valuations, how high you go, how high are you capable of going, and how much growth, how much numbers. So this is the major focus of any VC funded venture.
Also, I think
yeah,
if you're working on an idea which does not exist, like you need a VC-backed company to create that awareness in the industry that you need that. So marketing an idea, let's say I'm working on a motivational merchandise company. Merchandise is not something that was founded in 2014. It's something that has stayed in the market for years. The motivational designs that have been added is something that's added. So I didn't have to sell a notebook first. I just had to sell a designer notebook. So it was much easier for me as a bootstrapped company. But if you're working on an idea which does not exist at all, and you want to create awareness all around it, then I think at that times, these VC-funded companies are needed because they need to make that impact, that noise for people to hear them out or see them out, and then they start looking for their profitability and building the business.
Thank you, Sumit. This is a addition to what I was saying. I was saying that for bootstrap companies, not for bootstrap companies, just all of the ventures and companies, it is important to get the fundamentals right in place. It's really important to understand where it stands, why it is existing, and what is the major and larger goal. So getting the fundamentals right, when I talk of it or think about it, the most important thing which comes to my mind is the culture. To establish the culture which keeps people intact, which gets that company running in a fruitful manner, is the culture. So how do you taking care of it? I mean, what are the strategies or approaches you are taking up to establish that healthy culture?
Right. The success of every startup, whether it's a bootstrap or VC funded, the team are the behind the every tool. They are the backbone. Now, maintaining those or retaining those people within the organization and maintaining the culture, maintaining the happiness is become the primary job for the co-founder once you cross at one level. So right now we are at a 5 million annual recurring revenue, and after 1 million of annual recurring revenue, it becomes easy for you to compete with the VC funded startup. So you'll, take an example of, let's say some company provide profit sharing, some provides high end like laptops when the new joiners come, some provides unlimited leaves, or so many perks come into the picture, and that attracts the existing talent of the booster company's talent are like getting attracted over there. To now it's become the challenge for us to maintain those, and now when you reach at a stage and you have the power of the money, cash flow positive company, having the money in the bank, you take a risk. You can start competing. So initially, recently, like in last year, to retain our in the Corona time, like everyone is in engineering market. You know the market, right? Everyone, it's too boom. Like people are
Especially managing a tech talent.
Yeah,
I mean,
tech talent.
it was a war altogether.
Every developer or every coder has like 2 to 3 offers on hand, and then this keeps shopping.
Probably working also.
Right. So in the scenario, we have released like announced like $1 lakh $100K of profit sharing within the team. Like 30 people are got this some portion of the 100K. In current year, like recently in the last month, we have done the 100% hike. Even before their increment time, we have done the 100% hike in the engineering team, and try to make now in Ahmedabad. Like initially, there are tier 1, tier 2 cities. There is this gap in between the salary. In Bangalore, you get a developer at maybe it's 10 lakhs, and in Ahmedabad, you can get a developer at 4 lakhs. There is a huge gap, but now those gap are gone. So we have to match the salary of the Bangalore people, Bangalore startup, or even we have to compete with the other tier 1 cities. So now we have raised the salary by 100% hikes to the employee, giving them 100% salary, saying matching with the Bangalore. So we keep doing such initiative. We keep watching what exactly happening in the market, and at the end, if we retain the team and product market is already there, then growth is something we can definitely achieve. So we do such kind of calculation and figure out what to
The
do.
largest challenge lies here is to retain good talent. When there is a factor of FOMO comes in, just because the bigger companies are giving, I mean, multiple things to fancy people and to make them happy in a good manner, I admire them, I appreciate them. Just being in the bootstrapped venture, it makes it more difficult, just because it requires money, yeah, the real money. So that's the problem. Do you have to say something about it? I mean,
About
it is, yeah, majorly culture. This is a challenging part of it, just because the pace of adoption and transformation is now out of my understanding. I don't know how fast are we running. So we have to be very agile, very flexible, and to communicate it better in a at a cultural level, it's very, very critical.
So I'll tell you one very recent incident that happened. Now the culture difference between bootstrapped companies and let's say new age startups, I'm not saying that VC funded startups or anything. In general, companies that have been offering phenomenal perks to retain talent or just to hire them and probably lay them off 6 months or a year later.
EdTech recently.
EdTech recently did that. Now what's happening is when this, and see EdTech recently it happened, but it's something that's happening in the IT industry for years. But when a new company that's doing phenomenal good and they do it, it comes out a little louder, unexpected. So it comes out a little louder in our face, but it's not something like larger MNCs have done larger layoffs last year, previous years. So that's, frankly speaking, it's not a validation that they are just hiring. The product didn't work out, they laid off. Now what is happening, how our culture is being made is people who've joined us at the inception of the ideas. You will realize most of the bootstrap companies have all those first 5, 6 employees who had joined them at the start till there. Even if they make a switch, I can give you in writing, they would get probably 3x of the salaries that they get at the bootstrap companies, but they choose not to. And you won't believe, recently we had a lot of new joinees and they all said Saturdays should not be working. Firstly, all bootstrap companies work on Saturdays, I'm sure. So they said they want Saturdays off. We considered it. We were like, 1st April onwards, it's a new generation. Everyone wants a weekend off. Let's do this. Now, all these old people who were there from the start, and these are not old people, they're all 30, early 30s. They're like, this is our age to work. Why should we take a weekend off? They convinced and explained the entire concept to all of them. And the culture is such that everyone agreed to it. So that's a different culture that bootstrap companies have, and people are ready to adapt it if explained well. It's a way how it's portrayed out to them. They told them take 12 leaves any time of the year. You take 12 leaves together. Don't take Saturdays off. Let's work. We'll finish our backlogs on Saturday. So people get an idea. Then they become. So that's how our teams are growing. They are holding on to each other. We are not holding on to them. They are holding on to each other.
So, I mean, if I will have to look at it in a comparative manner, I can say that people who are working in legacy companies or traditional companies are working for their assigned tasks or designated carers. But when it comes to any startup, people are there with you in your personal journey of a dream. Yeah? So they are very close into your real struggle of achieving that high mark of aspiration or your dream. So it's a very closed group, and if communicated well, they will get to know that this is what required right now.
If given the space they need. Like they feel like owners, even if they don't own equity in these bootstrapped companies, they feel they are the owners because they are all doing three jobs parallel inside the same company. Like how, if we say we are master of all, jack of none, all of them are like that. The initial ones, because everyone's done everything to just keep the company floating in the first 2 years. So everyone knows something about the company.
Lovely. Jimit, would you like to add something?
I have some different opinion here. Like,
go for it.
In culture, employee side, like delivering the proper company's vision and mission and explaining why we are doing or what kind of problem that we are solving, that keeps them motivating. And then building the culture around task-based activity to object-based culture, then it encourages people to take responsibility, more ownership, come out from their comfort zone, and they take some extra responsibility. Even they are not stick to their designation and they work in different areas. So that's, I think, culture that we have established in SocialPilot, and we try to, and I think that is working out for us. That gives us more space as a founder because they take the ownership, they run the show, and now we have become the more kind of advisor and mentor.
So good to know about it. Now
so
let's
look
at
only on these platforms we get some recognition. Otherwise,
we would love to. Just now moving on to look at the larger space. So now, right now, startups is like a driver of the economy, a backbone of the economy, as the Prime Minister said. The whole ecosystem is transforming at such pace, which requires high degree of agility and flexibility. Yeah. Government being an accelerator and catalyst in this journey for each and every startup and VCs. What are the initiatives you appreciate a lot, and what are not so worth appreciating? What can we expect more from the government just to make it more smooth for entrepreneurs such as you to run ventures, yeah, and to make a difference in the society? What do you expect, or what are your, what should I say, want from the government?
So in Gujarat, actually, Gujarat government, I think it's a Gujarat government scheme. They are like offering 20 lakhs rupees of angel funding, you can say, to any student who want to be an entrepreneur, who want to start their own startup, right? I see giving the monitoring value to a student is something is not at right at the stage that people are like, they are coming out of this college, they haven't faced the real problem, real challenge in the real world. The problem that they're trying to solve is mainly based on the hypothesis that they have during the college time or the people that they're surrounded by. Now the chances are very high that they will fail, and that is again considered as a success, right? Once you fail, you learn something, and then you can rise again. But in majority case, everyone cannot do this. Out of 100, maybe 2 people can rise again, but 98 people now they have tasted the blood, like they know the value of 20 lakhs in the initial stage, and then doing a job or pivoting from entrepreneur to the job environment, that becomes challenges for them. So I think those are the area I do not like. Otherwise, so many initiatives taken by the government and promoting. So promoting this culture to having some experience, at least the people have like 2 to 3 years of experience doing a job, or maybe be a participant in any environment, any company, then I think it makes more sense for them to understand the real problem that they are trying to solve.
I agree. There can be different any initiative or any policy launch, just because there are different people, different sets of people entertaining them and leveraging them in different manner, right? Sumit, coming to you, you mentioned you invested in a couple of startups, and you have already successfully exited some. And I would like to listen your point of view, how, just because into both of these scenes, you know the both stories on both the sides. Yeah, so just trying to understand your point of view on how things will actually take place in future if we think of any new gen startup right now in terms of growth, in terms of scaling, in terms of culture. What would you say?
I agree to what he said, that at a young age, when you're given a capital of XYZ amount and you don't know how to build things, how to prioritize things, things may go wrong for you. But at the same time, I believe at a young age, since you have less liabilities, less responsibilities, your risk-taking appetite is much higher. As you grow old, there's a lot of security that you look for. Probably you have seen your parents, or probably you are married, you have kids. So you have a lot of responsibility. So you'll always look for a safe spot. Your risk-taking appetite decreases as you age. In general, for 90% of the people, we'll have examples of people launching a startup at the age of 60 also. But most of the time, you'll notice that the risk-taking appetite reduces. And I believe at a young age, when your risk-taking appetite is high, you can try more things, you can fail at more things, you learn more out of failures. I personally feel that you learn much more out of failures than what you probably learn at college or school or anything. It could be a project that you're doing, you're probably doing a 2-month internship, I agree. I personally did a job at a MNC firm for the first 5 months of just after I completed my engineering. I quit on the 5th month. I probably set a record of the earliest quitting in that. It was a dream company, like for the college. But the reason I quit is I found it monotonous. So I had my calling that this is not for me, and I moved and I started my own company. Worked for me. But had I failed, there's always a going back. I could have gone back to the job. Had I not tried, I would be yet regretting why I did not try. So I believe at a young age, I had that capacity to take that risk. Arey, job chhodta hu, let's do this. And then if it doesn't work, you can always go back. But today, 10 years down the line, if you tell me that quit your job and start a new startup, tough, because I'm married, let's say I'm going to plan a family, or I've bought a new house, there's an EMI running, something or the other, or whatever, your dream goals and everything. So you're fighting within yourself back then. So that's what I feel.
Yeah, got it. Also, I mean...
Sorry, I missed the point about the angel investments that you said. So like he said, angel investments, the word angel is because, which means God. So it's like, it's a bet. Angel investors come at a time when you just have an idea in your mind, not a product in hand. That is why they are called angel, and they enter at the lowest valuations. So the average outing is that even if one angel investment out of 20 succeed, the investor makes a phenomenal return because he enters at a very nascent valuation, and when he exits, probably he exits at 30, 40x. So his averaging works on a different tangent. So that's how I feel angel investments play a crucial role in government's logic also, because when they're making that angel investment, they are expecting a return from 1 out of the 20 startups in that angel investment batch.
I can understand this. When you said that it gives space to, I mean, experiment and, I mean, fail at some points. When I mean, speaking in the context of bootstrap companies, it also gives you an advantage of do the pivot sometimes, yeah? And with the all freedom, yeah? You are not answerable as such to the VC, but you are answerable to your people who are working with you, who are working for your dream. But that there is an edge, there is an advantage of doing the pivot with all the freedom and flexibility. Any such experience you would like to share with us?
Post-pandemic, it happened with us. One, health and wellness products is the category that we cater to in PALO. It was post-pandemic. Pre-pandemic, we had no product called backrest in our category itself. It was post-pandemic. One of the employees said that I have dealt in this product in the past. Why don't we do this now? Because a lot of people will start working from home. And we started that product, and that product eventually, it was like we added so many more products in the same range, and those products today rule the category for us. So these, and that's what I was saying about bootstrap companies. It is the people running the show are the people, not the founders. We took efforts in surviving the first initial years. Now they are the ones who are putting the efforts to scale these companies, and that's why we are able to stay bootstrapped. So these opportunities come and we are able to grab it immediately. So that's how it's helping us.
That's good. Jimit, any story you wish to share with us?
Yeah, so pivoting is definitely happened in Bootstrap, and we did private in earlier stage. So in 2014, when we started, we are building SocialPilot for the e-commerce sellers. So we see the problem that, okay, e-commerce seller has a lots of product on their inventory, they want to promote on social media. Now manually pulling those URLs, title, description, images on one platform and putting on Facebook and then repeating the same activity for Instagram or other networks, it's a very tedious job. So we build the tool for them, but the world has accepted us as a tool for marketing agency. One of the influencer during this time has write a review about SocialPilot, and he compared SocialPilot with some of the tool, one of the competitor called Hootsuite and Buffer. They have write the review in such a way that now all the bloggers, all the followers who are following them started considering SocialPilot as a tool for Hootsuite alternative or Buffer alternative, and those are the tool for marketing agency. Now by force, we have to pivot our tool. We can't stick to the e-commerce because the demand, the feedback, the new feature requests, whatever that comes from the customer are all towards the agency. Now, if we stick with the e-commerce platform, if we keep building something for the e-commerce, then we are not justifying. Inbound customers who are coming to us and they are ready to pay. While in e-commerce part, we have to do the outbound. We have to reach out to the people and we have to convert those customers. We need to nurture the leads and we need to convert those. So then we decided and we did the pivot. We script down the whole e-commerce part on the base of the whole tool was established that we scrape, and then we just market or keep our positioning in such a way that now we become the tool for the marketing agency. So that's what we do in initial stage in 2015, I believe. And another aspect of pivoting is not about the product only, right? It about the structuring too, right? We were India-based company initially, and then we just moved the whole headquarters to the US. So in Bootstrap, those flexibility is very easy for us to take a decision.
Good to know about it. The flexibility and the freedom is not confined to the product itself. You can go on and try and experiment in other aspects of the venture too. What do you think? How do you look at it? What is the culture right now in the startup ecosystem? Is it so, given the current funding winter, when investors are conservative in nature and trying to deep dive into the nuances of every venture they are deciding to back, just because the nature is such, the valuations are evaporating just because of the market right sizing, if I can say. What do you foresee? Will the ecosystem become such where people and entrepreneurs wish to start a bootstrapped venture more instead of a VC-backed venture? The larger picture, what's your take on this?
I think everyone wants to start a startup first. When they think they need more money or when they need to scale, that's when they go to a VC. So I don't personally feel that anyone has ever started with a company with the intention to sell it. Yes, everyone has that thing that I want to eventually make a $1 billion company, but not to sell it. Because when you get to a $1 billion company, you want to make it a $2 billion company. So your goals keep on increasing. So it's not something that's going to restrain you. And talking about the winter in the ecosystem, I think that's something you can if you're talking about winter in, let's say, the unicorn, the funding ecosystem, the winter exists in the stock markets also. Or either you call it a winter or you call it's just a correction on the process. People are re-evaluating how they used to evaluate things. We're just taking a step back to just see things, what went wrong, and now going to come back and start doing things. Do you think that VCs will suddenly go off the market? No. They're just holding, they're just observing what's working, what's not working. If something's not working, you've seen the maximum number of startups getting merged in the last 1 year. The larger players, a lot of larger players have merged. If an acquisition has happened, it has happened against equity and not money. There are not too many money buyouts that someone's paid a money and bought out. Someone's acquired a startup and given an equity in this larger stake, a larger company. A smaller stake has been given to that. So you've seen that when funding is dry, amalgamations have started, and I see it as a correction in the market. People are recorrecting, and things will again start coming back. Nothing's going anywhere, and people are going to start new business. Even today, there are people pitching startup ideas because not everyone knows the bigger picture. So when you are just starting, you're just looking at the smaller picture. Once you get into the game, then you start reading about the unicorns and everything. You go to a college and ask them about a unicorn, probably they don't even know. They're not even following those Instagram pages or those news articles about unicorn. They probably don't even know what unicorn is if you ask them.
So considering myself, when I speak to many founders who are either related to unicorn or telling these stories, so some or the other way, I am listening about a unicorn, 10 times in a day. Yeah. Why is this hype around unicorn? I do not understand. I really appreciate the pace India is moving after, but how willing are you going after funding? In the macro, this is the question for a toss. Jimit, please go ahead.
So, as I mentioned,
are you ready to become a billion-dollar venture in terms of valuations any soon?
Not really. The market and the tool, the industry that we are in, we are seeing that okay, we want to take an exit at 15 million, and then maybe we can start another problem. Keeping the same target audience, targeting the same marketing agency, but solving some other problem. And during this time, whatever the problem that we pick, based on that we take a decision whether we want to go ahead with the bootstrap or whether we want to take a money, right? If we are in a marketing agency or if we try to move at least one step higher, let's say mid-market or enterprise, then maybe we go for the VC fund first because the sales cycles will longer. And if we continue with solving such tech related problem, then I think bootstrap is working out for us and we keep continuing being the bootstrap.
That's good. Sumit, do you have a different take on this?
About the unicorns that you said, how unicorns are that important that people keep talking about it, unicorn. See, how your stock markets, for example, stock markets, Nifty and all these things, you look at the top 50 companies or you make the indexes based on S&P 500 or top 50 or based on that. Similarly, unicorns are the ones which are defining the startup ecosystem. It's an unregulated ecosystem, but that's how it's defined, that how many unicorns are coming out of the country, that also, because it's not just Indian investors that are investing in this unicorn. There are even people from across the globe who are investing. One of a phenomenal successful unicorn that you can talk about is, I guess, Freshworks or Freshdesk. I'm just getting confused. Mr. Girish Matrubhutam, I guess. Freshworks. So he is a phenomenal example. They got listed at NASDAQ. So that's a phenomenal achievement for an Indian company to do that well. So, and these companies have a beautiful culture also. You should read about their office, how they've kept their few things at bay, few things nice and controlled. So you'll have a different perspective on these. And about me looking for funds in the future, yes, if it's required, yes. But currently, whatever money we make, we do angel investments. Fortunately, they are working out for us. So when we exit, we use that to build our own $0 startups again.
That's interesting to know your path ahead. When we talk about the larger picture in India, how does the picture looks like to you? As in, I'm talking about the whole startup ecosystem, the pace we are on, and the transformation, the adoption rate, the capability of new zealous, new gen entrepreneurs are on a different level, yeah? How do you look at this picture?
I'm very positive on that side. Compared to US or other big, well-established countries, right? India is doing far better than them in terms of the startup world. They come up with some new innovative ideas, and the execution, and the India has the two major advantages. One is the cheap labor. The word that I am using is cheap labor because I'm comparing the labor cost here with the US. The cheap labor cost and the support that you provide, the human support. Those are normally the primary two success factor for any Indian startup compared to a global startup. So I see a very positive sign that because of these two benefits that we have, fundamental benefits that we have, and now we have a better understanding of a whole ecosystem. That helps a lot.
I think we've just started in the startup space. We are just going heads up high now. Because we've, as you said, tier 2, you've noticed a lot of tier 2 companies are coming
Not even,
up.
not just entrepreneurs, even the investors.
Yeah. The tier 2 investments are coming in, the tier 2 startup entrepreneurs, networks, companies are setting up their offices, larger offices in tier 2. People are ready to move to tier 2 to be part of those companies. I know one city that is now coming, Indore, it's suddenly doing phenomenal in the tech industry, like developers and all.
Yeah.
I personally don't know how strategically or geographically why Indore is coming up, but it's coming up with phenomenal good talent. And people are ready to move to work in those companies. So you're seeing a change in the mindset of the people of the new generation that's coming, that's not restricted to I want to stay in city only. They are ready to explore, to grow. So that's a phenomenal thing for us.
I think we should thanks pandemic for this to make us agile and make us more flexible. Just to, just all thanks to the digital.
Concept of remote working. I know people who move to Goa and they're working remote working phenomenally, better productivity.
Blurring the geographical boundaries at all. We are now sitting here, can operate in US and different many dimensions, right? Just before my final question, I would like to know, an interesting story behind your venture's name. Why is SocialPilot and why is ThinkPot and PALO?
So we are productivity tools. We try to remove all the tedious work.
I pose this question just because I know the story behind and you will love it.
Right. So the domain that we are working is social media marketing. So social comes from the social media marketing. And the pilot is all about automation, automating things. So we automate the whole tedious work. We automate by scheduling the post. You can plan your whole calendar in one shot by just spending 2 hours. You can plan your whole calendar of social media. And then it's run on the automation. So that's how the pilot word comes, and it's the social pilot comes into the picture.
That's great. So you are making people's social presence fly all across the globe.
Yep.
And mine, you don't know the story. So basically, ThinkPot, the name had come out of, my sister-in-law had kept the name. When we were thinking of a lot of names, it's a motivational merchandise company. So it had to do something with ideas, new innovation and everything. So normally, the best ideas that you get, probably I get, and most of the people I know, is when you're on a pot. So that's how the name ThinkPot came. We looked for a trademark, we found it, we immediately took the brand name as ThinkPot.
Isn't that so practical?
And it made sense. And that was exactly like she came out of the washroom and she said, I have a name. And we looked for it and it was available and we were like, let's go for it.
So that's to you that you accepted our thought.
Yeah, so that's how ThinkPot came in. And PALO was purely because my father was looking at few brand names that he was aware in the market. And he's like, all the brand names I know end with a vowel. या तो O होता है, या तो E होता है, ऐसा कुछ होता है. So he wrote down 10 names and then he saw the name that is the smallest because his concept was PALO. लिखने में छोटा है, logo बड़ा दिखेगा, proper दिखेगा. So he's like, that is why, and that's how we came with PALO. And again, trademark available, let's go for it. And that's how we took it.
I personally love this aspect of my job, to listen to people's stories. The dreams they are chasing has something concrete in the backdrop. Always to listen to their stories, lovely stories, sometimes interesting and positive and sometimes not. So that's my favorite job to do. You, being an entrepreneur, has done everything in some or the other manner: marketing, social media,
Yet doing.
operations,
Yet doing all.
and many such things. What is your role you like the most? Being an entrepreneur, what is one role you love the most about yourself?
You can't stick to the role actually. In entrepreneur, you start with your journey, you involve in each and every area, then gradually you start delegating the work. And at the current stage, normally mentoring and keeping the culture, hiring the people are the core job that founder has now.
I think for me, what's the best is that I get to do everything. So even if I don't like something and that's my role, I have something to do that I like also. So my day is divided in doing things that I love and also learn things that I don't probably know. So there are people I'm working with, they are probably better than me. So if I'm sitting with them also, I'm getting to learn. So I'm not from finance background, but I probably head accounts below my dad. My brother, he's from the commerce background, but he's least interested in accounts. So I've developed a inclination towards learning accounts. So that's one pro that you get as an entrepreneur, that you get to try things within your organization, multiple roles. And if you don't like it, you can make a switch also easily.
This can be the most interesting area of being an entrepreneur.
And the most toughest.
You, coming from the D2C, transactional operations mode, what is the area makes it more, what should I say, lively for you, a venture? How are you running it? And in future, how are you trying to expand, and what are your bigger plans?
So we want to take an exit at 50 millions. That's what, as of now, we plan. And we want to solve another problem for marketing agency. So that's overall 3 years plan, you can say. We do not plan after 3 years of, I think we are not sure what will happen after the world after 3 years. And social media is a very dynamic field. So we are normally planning till 2 to 3 years. So first thing to reach at some milestone, get an exit, or parallelly we start developing the second product and solve another marketing agency's problem.
That's good. So Sumit,
It's always been
adding to this question and his perspective, who are the real competitors, if I am putting it right way, the brands you admire in your particular industry per se?
So my particular industry, I'll be very frank, I won't name the brands, but all those brands that I, when started, looked upon, have shut before the pandemic or just during the pandemic. I won't name them because now they are shut, and they were large players. And one reason why I feel they went out of business, they shut stores, is because they were all bleeding from the start. They were just beautiful products, but they were bleeding, probably with a plan to make some profits in the future, and pandemic changed a lot of things for them. So suddenly, it was like we were looking at something and that thing has now gone off. So we started charting our own plan then, and on the health and wellness product, we don't have a competitor. We created this category. We have the largest number of footrests under a single brand in the entire country. Confidently, we can say. There's no one who's even focusing on that category, and we are happy with that also. But I'll be more happy if more players come in, because that makes it easier to market your product. Because 3 people speaking about a product, and one alone, the amount I spend, and if the same amount is spent by 3 of us, we are reaching 3x faster.
It makes a difference, yeah.
So I believe I'm looking for more competitors to come in this space so that that space can explode faster.
That's great. Jimit, if you can just share a bit more on how to sustain this journey of being bootstrapped. Also, you being in the nature of tech, yeah, which changes very swiftly, and the nature of social media is as such. It changes, it transforms in a few very minutes fast. Or in a few weeks, if I can say. So, what are a couple of strategies you use and you put in to the nature of business to sustain well?
Right. So our business is mainly focused on the inbound marketing, meaning we get the whole model is inbound marketing. We get the leads from the organically. People search on Google, they come on website, and the whole model is the complete SaaS model. They find us, our tool interesting, then they activate the 40-day trial, and during this 40-day trial, if they like the tool, like the features, then they add their credit details and they upgrade their membership, and then they keep continuing using the tools. So our focus is all remain in the same area, less human intervention, self-serve process is what we are focusing on. Starting from onboarding to support, whatever things that we can automate and reduce human intervention, that is something we focus on. And yeah, I think.
Making humans' lives more easier. Huh?
Yeah.
That's great. Just before I end the session, I enjoyed it too much. Being an entrepreneur is a lonely journey, and being in the bootstrap business, it's altogether a different story. For me, my go-to mantra is never give up. Just at least give it a try and never give up. What's yours?
Execute the things. Whatever comes in your mind, execute it, see the result, and then learn something, and then again try again.
That's great.
So
Start,
execution is
build, grow, fail, start again. Keep doing that cycle. You will get it right once. That is entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship, if you've not failed once, how will you be called an entrepreneur if you've not failed somewhere? It could be within a product of the company that you're working in, but somewhere you failed and you are growing out of it. That is the real push towards entrepreneurship.
Thank you so much, Sumit, and thank you so much, Jimit. It was a really interesting and stimulating session for me. I am having a lot of takeaways from this session. Lovely speaking to you.
Thank you.
Thank
you
you,
all.
Resham. Thanks for
Thank you so much.